If France were to formally recognize Palestine as a state and push for its recognition in the UN Security Council, it would carry significant political, diplomatic, and potentially economic implications. Here's what it could mean, and some predicted outcomes. First, let's talk about the geopolitical significance. France is a permanent member of the UN Security Council, the P5 Club. Its recognition would add serious diplomatic weight to the Palestinian cause. This could really intensify pressure on Israel, maybe pushing them to return to peace talks or reconsider their policies in the West Bank and Gaza. But for Israel, it might feel like a diplomatic betrayal, possibly cooling relations with France and maybe the EU as a whole. Now let's look at what this would do for Palestinian legitimacy. France's move would strengthen the Palestinian cause internationally and could encourage more countries to follow suit. It might even lead to more recognition within the UN system, setting the stage for a real shot at full UN membership if a resolution passes. But, and this is a big one, a US veto remains very likely. On the UN Security Council front, the US has almost always vetoed these kinds of resolutions. Their argument, statehood should come through negotiation with Israel, not through outside pressure. So even with France's support, the resolution is likely to be blocked. But if France breaks with the US over this, Western unity on Middle East policy could really take a hit. Russia or China might seize the chance to align more openly with the Palestinian side, just to weaken US influence in the region. Let's talk about the ripple effects. For Palestinians, this would be a huge morale boost. The symbolic recognition could strengthen the Palestinian Authority and more moderate factions. Maybe, just maybe, it shifts public opinion away from violence and toward diplomacy, at least for a while. But in Israel, political backlash is almost guaranteed. Hardliners might respond with aggressive settlement expansion or push even harder for annexation. Internally, this could fuel more political turmoil or boost the right wing. On the European side, France's move could inspire other EU nations to recognize Palestine too, especially if peace talks keep stalling. We could even see a new EU policy stance with more pressure on Israel and more support for a two-state solution. But there are risks. If this recognition is seen as one-sided, without any real peace framework, it could trigger violence or even militant retaliation. Groups like Hamas might use the momentum to gain legitimacy even if they're not on board with diplomacy. So here's the summary. France recognizing Palestine and pushing for it in the UN Security Council probably wouldn't get Palestine full UN membership thanks to that almost certain US veto, but it would still mark a major diplomatic shift, isolating Israel further, boosting Palestinian status internationally, and shaking up the balance of power in Middle East diplomacy. If you found this analysis helpful, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to my channel.